Okay, today I'm going to be showing you how to change an alternator on a 98 Camaro. The first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect any power cables from the positive terminal on the battery. You don't want any of the wires that you're going to be working with live at this point, so you're going to want to disconnect them from any power source. You, the main materials you're going to need are a socket wrench with a set of sockets, which you would use to take off that terminal, but I have extra wires in this car. You probably won't. So I use my wires as my socket wrench just to take off the positive terminal. But for the rest of the steps, you're going to need sockets and a socket wrench. That main cord right there, you can see it. I'm about to grab it. Is the main cord for all the electronics in the car, and it also charges the battery, and it comes directly from the alternator. So since you're working straight with that wire, you're going to want to make sure it's dead. Like you just saw right there, you're gonna need to loosen up the serpentine belt, and you have a couple. And here's your ground wire right here. It's right on the top of the alternator. Just disconnect that. It's okay to have little white stuff on the end of it. And that bolt right there is gonna be four bolts in total. Four bolts in total. There's one of them. There's the second one. You're gonna want to save that one right there for last. Number 3 is right there, right under the pulley. And right here, right next to the engine block. Now once you get all those off, you can see they're right here. Make sure you put them in a safe place where you don't lose them. The last thing you want to disconnect is the output terminal for the alternator. I pre-loosened these so I was able to get mine off with just my fingers. This might take a little bit of working, but you got to get it out of there. And there's your power supply. That's the same cord you disconnected from the battery. And then you're ready to just pull that out. Depending on when you last drove the car, it might be a little hot. I would recommend getting a blue rag, or just a rag in general. These ones are automotive rags. And you're gonna want to grasp it firmly and just pull it right on out of there. It's still tightly put in there, so it's still gonna put up a fight. Just wiggle it around a little bit and it should just come right out. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to put my same alternator back in, but if you had a new one, this is exactly where it would go. Same way, same place, same bolts. Now you're going to want to return all the bolts back to their original positions. Make sure you thread them slightly, but don't fully tighten them yet. All of the bolts except for the output bolt in the back. You want to do this to make sure that it is properly secure and that all the bolts go in back in their places correctly. Because if you over tighten one and you can't get another bolt back in, you're going to have to redo the whole process in order to adjust it enough. Now you can reconnect the positive terminal to the battery with the cords, because the battery doesn't provide enough charge as of right now, for me anyway, but make sure your other cord, the other end of that cord, is not touching any metal. This part right here. Now it's okay to connect this once your alternator is fully and firmly in place. Then you put the output bolt back on after you put the output cord on there. Finger tightening should be okay. If you feel like you need to, you can tighten it up just a little bit more with a socket wrench. Now the final step is you're going to want to make sure you put your serpentine belt on correctly. Most cars have a belt diagram under the hood somewhere. Usually it's off to the side, you can see it. Make sure it's on in the middle of all your other pulleys. Make sure it's tight, make sure it's centered, make sure it's even before you put the pressure back on it. Now you can see that the belt is now tightened back into place. The alternator is in where it should be. Make little adjustments if you need them. And turn on the car and make sure everything runs right. And that's how you change a 98 Camaro alternator.